Hey, welcome Lakeview Lakers. We are back and we are learning how to use a felt pen to stipple. And what are felt pens? Technically, a Sharpie is a felt tip pen. So is the Magnum. But I sent home specifically with you a Tombow double-ended. It's got a small end and it's got a brush tip end. So we're going to learn how to use this today, and we're excited to be doing it. All right, so here we go, drawing students. Here is our sheet of paper. I am going to use a pencil, and I'm going to draw a series of very small squares. And the reason why I'm drawing very small squares is stipple is something that takes a little bit of time and takes a little bit of practice. So it also works better on smaller pictures, but you could do a larger picture. Now I'm going to start in the first square by just putting a series of random dots. I don't want a lot. I just need a few. I could have actually gone less than that. But in this next one now, I'm going to create a pattern. And then I'm going to fill that pattern in a little bit. And then I might go another pattern that goes over it and back and forth, and just add in some more value. So I get a different value than I had here. And it's a series of dots. Now here I'm going to do that same thing. I could do the large where I just make a series of dots that go concentrically. And then I could repeat that process and make that same set. But this time I go in the space between them. And I'm really conscious that I don't make dashes, that I make dots. One of the coolest things about stipple is that you can see the dots. And the dots have a tendency to create this sensation of roundness and also like whirly. So you can really start to see already that I've got three strong values going here. I've got a light gray, a gray, a dark gray, and then I'm going to try to do my darker gray. And notice what I did right away. I made smaller circles and I'm filling them in a lot faster. So now I'm going to just do a partial one there, and then I'm going to go in and fill that gap. And I'm not just scratching in lines. There are still dots. And you can see that when you look at this. You can see those dots. Now, the more dots I add, this I think is easier to fill in when I go in a pattern like that. And I've already got a lot of dark happening there. I'm going to come in and add some more and go over until I can get this area really dark. Now, to use a smaller pen with a felt tip, it puts down a layer of nice ink, and it's really usually pretty dark. That's why we like felt tip. If I was to do this now with my brush tip on the other end, I get a different set of marks. So you'll see they are bigger and they occupy, it's easier to make dashes, and they don't have that same kind of feel that the original one does there because of the mass of them, and they don't look like they're in a pattern. They have a tendency, but I still like using it. And this would be the end that I might use for a larger project. So if I was going to draw a stipple and do a larger project, the hard part is that end on the brush tip bends over, and we will use that for a different type of project. But for now, see, now there we go. Look at that. Now I could do the same with my Sharpie, and I get a whole series of marks. And Sharpies are nice for this as well. They put down a nice layer, and you can create a good value system with a Sharpie, but because it doesn't bend. But as the Sharpie gets more bent and pushed and the felt tip gets softer, you're going to find that you get really, it'll start to squish and get dashes. And you get more blobs. There we go. Look at that. Nice, huh? So that is stipple. Now, if I was going to do stipple and draw my rectangle, my box within a box, And I'm going to put one of those right here. And I'm going to draw my box, put my finger in the middle, connect my lines. And I don't need to make these dark because I'm going to come back and use my marker. And here's my box within a box. All right. Now, if I'm going to do stipple, and I'm going to use my Sharpie here, I'm going to put my dark ones in first. Imagine my sun is right here. So I'm going to put my dark ones in first. And then I will come back. All right, you can see I got all my darks in. So now I'm going to put in my next layer of dark, which is going to be here. And it's not going to be as dark. It's probably going to be this one. So I don't want to make as many marks. But I need to be able to see a distinct difference between. Now, the cool thing about these dots is dots are a form of line. So we see them as what we call, and I just drew a blank, a line. Oh, shoot. I love talking about this too. So anytime we connect a series of dots together, we make a line. And that is, well, it's an imaginary line, but that's not implied. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for, implied. So what we do is we create an implied line. So it's not a real line, but it's a series of marks that make an implied line. So now I have a good value there, so I could probably go in and put a little few more in on this spot and darken that up a little bit. I probably got a little too dark on my, neaten up my edges right there, tighten that up. And now I have pretty nice value going there. Now I could do the same thing across the bottom. I can add some value by adding dots in the background. And I can do them randomly like you see here, or I could do a pattern, a series of swirls. But again, that whole, or we create a background like we did on the earlier drawings with the ballpoint pen. Now, could I do this with ballpoint pen? Yeah, probably. But the hard part with ballpoint pen is it has a tendency to, it doesn't make the dots as well as it does with the felt tip pen. All right, so I could put a shadow in and create a shadow coming off of this so that it looks three-dimensional. And remember that value is darker. Now, a Sharpie is made with an archival ink where the Tombow isn't made with an archival ink. So with the Sharpie, I can't really do this next thing that I'm going to show, but just to give you an idea. Ooh, look at that. That's a nice little shadow going there. All right. So if I take the Tombow and I go and I fill it in and I make a line like that, and I spray a little water on it, you can already see what happened. Did you see that? Look at that. I can make that guy disappear. So I could put shadow in. I can use the Tombow just like a paint. And I can make lighter grays and smaller grays just by adding water. Look at that, huh? Woo! So the Tombow is fun in that regards. If I add it to it while it's wet, it'll continue to bleed. It'll affect my marker too. I could put my core shadow in. Add a little more dark. I could bring a little more water in. Use my brush again. So there's all sorts of cool things you can do if you just experiment and play. And part of what is learning to make mistakes. My son Elijah spilled water all over a drawing I did with this type of pen, and it completely disappeared. But hey, that's another tale, another time, and another story. Remember, you have to do one in ballpoint pen. You have to do one in felt tip pen, and you have to do one in the artist pen. You should do a practice in each style with the pen, do the box within the box, and then you have to do a choice drawing. I sent home smaller sheets of paper so that you could use smaller sheets of paper. So, all right, go get them.